Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the PEP, the Peyton Podcast. Today we got four special guests with us today talking about the LeBron James and Michael Jordan topic. So we're going to get right into it. Here's our first guest. All right, so I'm here with our first guest, Reed, active from Sigma Chi. How you doing today, Reed?
I'm doing good, man. Just glad to be here.
Nice. All right, so today's topic's a pretty controversial one. We're going to have the MJ, Michael Jordan versus LeBron, like who's all-time greater. So in your opinion, who is better?
I'm gonna say MJ's better.
MJ? All right, why do you think that?
I don't know. I feel like it's hard to have a three-peat championship, and he did that twice. Like I don't know. I don't think that's. I don't know. That's something different. LeBron's never done that.
Have you always been on the MJ train since like whenever you started thinking about the GOAT
Yeah,
proposal?
I'd say that's always what I believed.
So before even The Last Dance came out or any stuff like that, it was just MJ's the GOAT?
Yeah, I think so.
All right. So do you think watching The Last Dance would have affected anyone's opinion who was before LeBron James? That maybe was not old enough to watch Michael Jordan in his prime, like live.
I think it could affect your stance on this.
All right. So also based on statistics, we see LeBron James has more total points overall throughout his careers, and he has more total everything except steals. That's probably because he's been in the league a lot longer than Michael Jordan has. But MJ per game has more points, more steals, and then LeBron has everything else with more turnovers per game, more assists. So looking at those statistics, like, do you think per game, just Michael Jordan was just a more dominant player?
I think so. I think he was just more dominant. He was just like that. I don't know.
All right, we're here with our second guest of the day, Lucas, another actor from Sigma Chi. How are we doing today, Lucas?
Doing good.
All right. So just like the guest before you read, we are on a controversial topic over LeBron James or Michael Jordan. So in your opinion, who's the GOAT? Who do you got?
I got MJ.
Got MJ in this? All right. Why do you got MJ?
I just feel like he was always a winner. He's probably the greatest winner of all time, and LeBron's never been that.
Were you always like on the MJ train just before even Last Dance? Just
I started to appreciate MJ more as I've gotten older.
okay.
I always root for LeBron though because like I want to see that greatness, but I just can't see it.
Did the Last Dance influence your opinion to make a stronger statement for MJ?
I would think so.
Okay.
It definitely just solidified my stance.
I'm here, my third guest today, Austin Epps. How we doing, Austin?
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
Doing all right. So you know the topic, MJ, LeBron. Who you got?
We're going to have to go with MJ on this one. You know, the rings don't lie. Two separate three-peats. It's just he's proven himself.
All right, that's what I like to see. So we took some polls on our Instagram a few days ago. We got LeBron James and Michael Jordan. So 273 people voted for Michael Jordan, and then we had around 73 people vote for LeBron. And then the second poll was, did they watch Last Dance or not, and did that influence their decision? 144 people said yes, it did influence it, and 64 people said no, it did not. So do you think just how old people are, the era, such as kids who are in their mid-teens or anything, are heavy on LeBron because they grew up with him, just as older people grew up with Michael Jordan?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. So, yeah, I mean, I agree. Like, we've been, LeBron's the GOAT of our, lifetimes, like all the teenagers, stuff like that, just from, who's been playing since we've been around. But, everybody was, I feel that seeing him play right now, he seems to go. Nobody knows MJ too well in our generation. But then with the stat about the Last Dance, like, I think that's what helped our generation really realize, like, who MJ was and, like, how he did it and what probably put him over LeBron and has for now.
So one thing. Okay, so I'm here with my fourth guest of the day, Mr. Douglas Hanna, born and raised Chicago. How are we doing today, Mr. Hanna?
Good, how are you?
You know the topic, LeBron James, Michael Jordan, so who you got?
Well, there is no discussion. We should end it right now. Michael Jordan is the GOAT. No
Great.
discussion to be had.
What's your reasoning behind it? Just give me some.
So I think the day and age, so you got to go back when you look at in the 80s, the type of basketball that they played. Number one, it was a real hard-fought type of game. They played man-on-man, real hard fouls. You could not go to the basket and do a slam dunk or layup. They would knock you out silly, right? Nowadays, they're playing a lot of zone, and so people can just drive to the basket. They shoot 3 points. It's just a whole different game. Michael Jordan also won it with all one team. LeBron had to go to 3 different teams to win championships and bring in a lot of free agents in this day and age.
So what was the environment created by Michael Jordan to the town of Chicago and just to the sporting community as a whole during that time?
So back then our sports teams, if you look at the Cubs, the Bears, the White Sox, even the Blackhawks weren't even on TV back in those days. So the Bulls weren't really, Chicago sports were kind of bad in a sense. Michael Jordan came, gave the city a little bit of a lift. First couple of years that he was, in there, we won some games, but then he really started just taking off, right? He won, NBA Player of the Year, Slam Dunk Contest, All-Star Champion, all that good stuff. And then after a few years, they started winning championships. So he just brought a passion to Chicago that I've never seen before. The old stadium was a smaller stadium compared to the newer one that they just built, and that place was just on fire. And he was an icon for the city. Just opening restaurants and just his aura, just everybody just got behind him, and just the passion behind the Bulls was it was nothing I've ever seen before. And if you looked at so they won 6 championships. They all had parades down in Grant Park, which is the park right off the lakefront. They'd have hundreds of thousands of people there. So, he just brought the city together just with his, kind of charisma and just his winning attitude. And, Chicago's a blue-collar city, right? And they just work hard and just get stuff done. So it seemed like he brought the city together.
All right. That's pretty good. So, also, Michael Jordan definitely got that huge brand deal with Nike, and so do you think that also created his stigma for being a great sports player and everything with that brand deal?
So I would disagree with that, I guess, in a sense where Nike, from what I remember, was actually a startup company back in the day, and so their first big endorsement was Michael Jordan. And so as Michael Jordan, after his second year, he started winning, NBA Player of the Year and, the All-Star Game, Slam Dunk Champion, etc. His status rose through the NBA. And as it did that, then when he was wearing those Nike shoes, people started buying the Nike shoes and the clothing and all that kind of stuff. So my opinion is he actually created that brand and drove the Nike sales to where it's at today, as opposed to Nike creating him. Because he's still making, I think, $100-something million a year on the Nike royalties with, the Jumpman or Swoosh, because he's on college football like Michigan, right? The Swoosh man is on there, and he's got all the shoes and the paraphernalia. So I think based on what he did in that sport and who he is as a person, I think he actually created Nike as opposed to Nike creating him. I look at Kobe Bryant, right, as probably, maybe the second person behind, Michael Jordan. But whether it's Kobe or LeBron or whatever, these guys have multi-million-dollar deals with Adidas and Under Armour and all this stuff. But nobody still outranks Jordan with Nike sales. So there's got to be something to that. That's not Nike, right? That's Jordan. That's what he did on the court previous, and that's what he's doing today that's driving those sales. So even LeBron, as good as LeBron is, he is not taking whoever's sponsoring him, I think, to the height of what Jordan did with Nike. Jordan still probably brings in more than what LeBron does.
Oh, yeah, easily.
LeBron is still a very big figure, but Jordan, and the other thing, it's not just the U.S., right? It's international. You go to China, you go to these other places, people know Michael Jordan, and they probably know LeBron too. Don't get me wrong, but Jordan was in movies, Gatorade commercials, McDonald's, and McDonald's is a global company, right? So his commercials played worldwide, so people know him. So he just, in my opinion, is a little bit more nationally known, and I think that's what drives a little bit bigger sales. Who do your other interviewers favor more, Jordan or LeBron?
They were Jordan. And a lot of the reasons were statistics. So with you, it was a lot of experience and just environment. Like what I said, what was my first question was the environment created by MJ, and just it was just his aura, I guess, just giving off as what you've been explaining, him giving off to the community and everything like that. But their arguments were a lot of statistical based, and so different to see like how two different eras like look at who the GOAT is and for what reason. So that was really interesting.
Yeah. No, I agree, and it's hard to compare. I mean, they're both great players, and they played a little different positions as well, too,
Yeah.
right? So, I mean, it's always hard to compare when you're in different eras, and that's part of the issue.